pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Irby. Councilmember Page.
Here.
Councilmember Wassinger. Here. Councilmember Gray.
Present.
Councilmember Dolan. Councilmember Tracus. Councilmember Harder.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
We have no bid openings tonight, so we'll move to communications.
Approval of journal.
Oh, approval of journal.
I move for the approval of the journal of the meeting of October 23rd, 2018.
Second. All in favor of approval of the journal, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Journal's approved. We have no bid openings tonight, so we'll move to communications.
Mr. Chair, we have no tax compromises, zoning matters, or road and bridge matters this afternoon, so we'll move to other communications. Under other communications, item number 1.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 2, First District.
Receive, file, and change of owner be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3, Sixth District.
Receive, file, and hold on the order of business, please.
So ordered.
Item number 4, Fourth District.
Receive, file, and the agreement be approved as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion through item number 9, and that will be the order.
Item number 10, All Districts.
Receive and file, and that will be the order.
Item number 11, Second District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 12, Second District.
Receive, file, and the change order in the amount of $23,289.89 be approved as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 13, Second, Fourth, Sixth, and Seventh Districts.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 14, Fifth District.
Please hold on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 15, Second and Sixth Districts.
Receive, file, contracting the amount not to exceed $1,432,454.95 be approved and awarded to J.M. Marshutz, the lowest responsive bidder, as recommended, and authorization for revision to the existing traffic control devices be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 16, Sixth District.
Receive, file, and the streets be accepted for maintenance as requested.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 17, Seventh District.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hold this until I can get better explanation on the 15% change order on this thing.
So ordered.
Item number 18, Seventh District.
I don't know, what's the action on 18?
Probably same.
Same as 17.
Same.
Oh, I just receive and file on that. And be counselor be, or I guess we'll do receive and file, and the county counselor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 19, First District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. She wants to hold that?
Both of them, I believe, Mr. Chair.
Hold item number 20, item number 19 and item number 20, and that will be the order. Thank you.
Item number 21, Sixth District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, please.
So ordered.
Item number 22, Second District.
Receive, file, and refer to the Department of Transportation and Public Works, Department of Planning, and the county councilor, and that will be the order.
Item number 23, all districts.
Receive, file, and refer to the council as a committee of the whole. The proposed budget be made available to the public from and after this date. The council hold a public hearing on the proposed budget at a special meeting of the council to be scheduled as soon as the matter can be heard. And the administrative director published notice of this hearing as required by law, and that proof of publication of the notice be filed with the office of the county clerk. And that will be the order. It should be noted that the public hearing for the budget has been scheduled for Tuesday, November 27th, 2018 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter of the county council meeting scheduled in this chamber, in this location, 41 South Central in Clayton.
Item number 24, First District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered. Please read the add-ons.
Yes, sir. Item number 1.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. And that will be the order.
Item number 2, First District.
Hold on the order of business, and that will be the order.
No, she wants to move that.
We can't move it till we have a hearing. We have to have a hearing.
She says a resolution.
Oh, it's a resolution? Oh, I thought,
No.
no, not this one.
It says appointment.
It's an appointment.
Mr. Chair, the request for the resolution got on the regular agenda, so you already made that motion.
Okay, great.
Item number 3, Second District.
Receive, file, and the appointment of John W. Maupin be approved as requested, and John will be appointed as the chair for organizational purposes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry, who was the second on that?
Me.
Colleen.
Thank you. Item number 4, Third District.
Receive, file, and the appointment be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5, Fourth District.
Receive, file, and the appointment be approved as requested.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 6, Sixth District.
Hold on the order of business, please.
So ordered.
Item number 7, Second District.
Drop from the order of business, Councilman Wassinger has addressed this item, and that will be the order. Report of the county executive, no report. Report of special committees. Hold on the order of business, and that will be the order. Public forum.
We have 13 speakers this evening, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Please come to the podium when your name is called and give us your name and address for the record so we can capture comments and adjust the microphone so we can be sure and hear you. And try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. First speaker.
First speaker this evening is Larry Rice.
Good evening. I'm Larry Rice, Director of the New Life Evangelistic Center, now located at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. I'm deeply concerned, of course, about the homeless in St. Louis County. I used to come and testify quite regularly here some years back, but no longer do that because we never could quite get a shelter open. What brings me here today is because what I see is cruel and unusual punishment as far as notification of people that are being put out, and this involves the Stratford Inn. What I've handed to you is a notice of violation inspection letter, which was put on everyone's room last Friday, and they were told to be out Tuesday. Now, some of those individuals will be here testifying later. We have Leo, who's blind, his mother, Pat, who's handicapped. We have Deborah, who they stole her car. She didn't have anywhere at all to go. By Leo and his mother, and they said they're going to be sleeping in their car. The Fisher family, his brother, Michael, these are just some that are testifying because the way this whole thing was handled by the St. Louis County, notifying them that we were going to make them an appeal. I also gave you a letter here of 3 bases of an appeal. The problem is that we were directed out to the Northwest Plaza facility. We drove out there. Then they said, well, we can't handle it here. They gave us a phone number. They called and got a voice message, so they still haven't been able to file an appeal. What I'm here today to do is ask you, please, have mercy on these people. We saw no one from the Human Services from St. Louis County there that would try to find them another place. We heard on television how the city of Fenton was going to do that. They never saw anyone that came there to try to offer them a place. And now for them to have to live in their cars. We saw St. Louis County police officers there that were hired by the motel to serve as security. They were most gracious, but still a state of panic was put in the lives of the people. You also have in front of you an inventory of 44 names of people that needed help as of yesterday. I think a lot of them were intimidated, driven back, sleeping in their cars, and now added to the St. Louis County homeless people. Again, I've been trying for years to see if we can get a shelter open in St. Louis County because I continue to take so many at 1411 Locust. They found a good excuse. They shut down 1411 Locust. I just heard that today they're going to get a permit. We'll be able to go in and start fixing up for day services. Just heard that a few minutes ago. But before the Missouri Court of Appeals as far as trying to have overnight shelter. If that had been open, I could have taken the people in. It's closed, no place for them to go. So Leah and Pat will later be testifying as to how they're going to be sleeping in their car, although Leah is blind, how the Fisher family and the tremendous stress this has put them under. It has really stressed a lot of the people out. Many of them have then already vacated the place. Today there was a different notice put on. It didn't have an out date, but they did their share of intimidation. So I feel it's necessary for the county council to realize that this is cruel and unusual punishment, and the way that St. Louis County handled this thing, I find is totally deplorable as a minister. I feel it's inhumane and one of the most cruel, inhumane actions that I've seen happen in St. Louis County to add to the growing numbers of homeless people that are now going to be sleeping in the county. Any questions? I'm happy. We'll go.
I would just say this particular hotel, I read about this incident over the weekend. It is located in the city of Fenton. The county operates under contract with the city of Fenton. The city of Fenton is the one I know that has made this decision. It's my understanding that the hotel itself is in terrible condition. It's unsafe and uninhabitable. And they made the difficult decision, I think, to ask these people to move out. It is my further understanding.
With 4 days notice?
Excuse me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It is my further understanding that the county executive's office is trying to assist in helping people to find somewhere to go as well.
If they wait long enough, there won't be anybody there. Again, I'm sure there might have been some problems. You have to understand the ownership may have had 30 days notice. They did not notify the tenants till last Friday. They were given Tuesday to be out. When I arrived there Monday, they were in a state of shock. The hurt, the pain that I've seen is just, I just had to come and stand before you today and say I'm disappointed. And say,
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, well, thank you for your response, yes.
How many people were affected by this?
Well, as of yesterday, the material that I believe I passed around here, those 44 families that were still in there, there was a total of 85 that were in there, okay? Now, I know what happened is the previous owners may have gotten the notice on that. Of course, they might have wanted to milk every dollar they could out of these people, and they didn't tell them until last Friday, when the new ownership took over, that they'd have to be out by Tuesday. So once I had our attorneys contact the attorneys for the motel, and there was a new notice put out on the door today that said they had to be out but didn't give a date because I think they noticed that they could have opened themselves up some litigation. But there were 85 families as of Friday, 44 as of yesterday, and I don't even know how many are still over there right now. Some number of them wanted to come testify today, but they're afraid the locks might be changed or anything could happen. So these people are to be commended for their courage.
So 44 are currently there?
44 as of yesterday. But later they'll be able to answer some specific questions. A lot of them fled today when they hired the St. Louis County police officers for security. They were most gracious, but I was blocked to go in and others, and they were told they'd have to move soon, and none of them want to get arrested. A lot of these people used the motel because they didn't have good credit, so they weren't able to. And the second thing is they didn't have the down payment on another place. And this is the third, if you check the record in the city of Fenton, this is the third motel that they closed. They closed the Motel 8, the Motel 6, when it came to long-term weekly involvement, okay? They were operating, yes, outside the permanent status. But we had the same game played with us at 1411 Locust. They operated for all those years, and then suddenly want the people out of the neighborhood. And so there they go, they come in. So that's what they encountered. Here they are, they're hurting. And they got to go somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for listening today. God bless you. There'll be others testifying.
Next speaker is Ronnie Abston.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raina Abston. I'm a resident of Rolla, Missouri. I'm also a nonprofit organization that focuses on tenants' rights. And I just want to stand here tonight and speak on behalf of Stratford and residents and also many residents across the state of Missouri, because this is happening on it's happening on a regular basis. This notice that they put on the property is the building inspector of the county, and it's directed to the property owner. This has nothing to even do with the tenants. And so for tenants to have a right, they have to be recognized. And so to do it through this procedure of condemning the building and having the notification to the property owner and the tenants are left out, the procedures need to be changed. This needs to be articulated. And I'm bringing this forth to the council because these people are caught in the crosshairs of what's going on from the building inspection people to the property owner. But no one is going in to ensure that the property owners are doing their job of notifying the tenants. So placing this notice on each and every tenant's door is not legal, nor valid, nor a viable substitution for the notice I'm referring to of a notice to terminate or a notice to quit. According to Missouri law, whether you have a lease or you do not have a lease, the only two entities that can end a lease is the tenant or the landlord. That means the building code inspector can't end it. And so this would not be proper for an eviction. And so I realize in here, and I've talked to the people and I've been in some of these rooms, I didn't see any defects to make it uninhabitable, but I'm not saying that there's not any defects. My argument is, if the property has been uninhabitable all this time, why were these people allowed to continue to pay rent all that time? My other argument is why isn't anyone stepping in to ask the previous owners, the current owners, about the situation of all this rent that was collected? It is supposed to be illegal, according to Chapter 407 of the Missouri Merchandising Practicing Act, to advertise a product or service, including real estate, that does not meet a standard of law. And so if this property was not meeting the standard, as many properties across St. Louis and outside of does not meet that standard, I do not hear any legislative bodies addressing the fact that the false advertising is what's duping these people into these substandard buildings. And so that is one way to really get to the crux of understanding how they even get in these situations is through advertising. And so I just want to be clear that some procedures, many procedures need to be put in place to be able to keep this from happening again.
That's 3 minutes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Erin, either Yulee or Welly. Mr. Chair, can we ask the speaker to spell her last name for us?
Please.
Hi, my name is Erin Kelly. That's Kelley. I am the Executive Director of Step Up. We are a federally funded drug-free program based in South County. I'm here to request support for Bill number 270, introduced by Councilman Tracus on October 23rd. The public health ordinance includes a loophole allowing minors to possess cigarettes, e-cigs, and vape devices. It is currently illegal for minors to buy these items or to be sold to. This is a law that you guys had passed, I think in 2016. Our school resource officers, admins, teachers, and parents have asked for stronger guidelines. No one knows how to handle these devices. It is impossible to tell what substance is being used without expensive lab tests. My concern for our community is the safety of our kids. Of the approximately 20% of St. Louis students who self-reported using a vape device in the last 30 days, 62% reported that they had purchased from or were given the device by a friend. Kids are taking devices from their older siblings and parents and then distributing them at school. If law enforcement can't tell what is in these devices, how can our kids? Our state just legalized medical marijuana, making marijuana vaping oil more readily available in our community very soon. Drug dogs are not even able to tell the difference between the two substances in a vape pen. My organization has announced a one-time per month, day-long education and community service program that we will provide to all youth in St. Louis City and St. Louis County, public and private, at no cost for first and second time offenses for possession in schools. A member of the family over 18 will be required to attend with them. we will do everything we can to support your passing of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Next speaker is Matthew Fish.
Hello, I'm Matthew Fish, and I live in Stratford. I'm sorry, I'm speechless right now. The Stratford deal is pretty horrible. My mom actually has multiple sclerosis, and my dad's a veteran, and we actually have had to move from there's a 400s building, and then we had to move to the 100s, and that's a hard move from her. She's got right now the only income between is my dad and I, and I'm scared because everything that's going on, this might end up just putting her in the hospital, and it's scaring all of us. I don't think my dad can sleep or eat, for that matter. And I don't know why they just gave us the notice that, and they didn't even give us this notice by hand. They gave us this notice by just putting a piece of paper up on our door and hurrying up and walking away and moving to the next door and moving to the next door. And I wish we were talking about this. I wish, either the police officer or somebody would have came up to our door and knocked on our door and told us about it. Because, I have no understanding, and my dad had no understanding, and my mom didn't have any understanding. And I don't know what we're going to do after we leave the Stratford, because, we're not making, between my dad and I, we're not making that much money. And we're going to be and our car situation is that it just broke. It's done. And we're going to be sleeping in the car, hopefully somewhere where it's legal. But I just don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Michael Riley.
Hi, I'm Michael Riley. I'm 67 years old, retired on Social Security. It took me quite a while in search for a place to stay, and I finally found the Stafford Inn. They've worked with me because I get paid once a month, and when I moved in there, I didn't have the money to pay. And they let me stay the month and pay at the end. I promised I would, and I did. So what I'm looking at now, with this short 4-day notice we got, is I'm going to be on a park bench tomorrow. And I'll die out there. I can't take the cold. The 4 days is just way too short. I'm so stressed out. I'm ready to give up. I won't repeat what everybody else said. You already heard it. But that is my story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jeff Heine.
Good evening, Jeff Heine, H-E-I-N-E. I am a district manager for St. Louis County Transportation. I've been a St. Louis County employee for 34 years. I think I speak on behalf of a lot of St. Louis County employees, but the only thing I can speak to is my department. So operations and many in-county employees, as you know, have went, last 10 years have had 3, so we've went 7 out of the last 10 years with no pay increase. 96 employees in operations in the past 2 years we've hired, 40 of which have already turned over and left. Of all of them, they've left for positions anywhere from $2 to $6 an hour or more. Our employees start at $12.22, somewhere in the $12.20 area. They get a CDL. We train them for a CDL. Now, training for a CDL takes an instructor, usually a supervisor, a week long of training. We take them to the facility. They use our vehicles, and 40% of them are gone. And I don't know, there's a lot of people that wouldn't leave a job to make 25% more for the exact same thing they're doing. It's an epidemic. We hemorrhage employees. Myself as a manager, it's very hard to keep employees motivated, to schedule crews. I'm in charge of 21 people. At one time this summer, for quite a while, I was down 4 people. We just had 18 openings and 3 people applied. I don't know, I can't tell you the last time I was in an interview for jobs and there was more applicants than there was jobs. It's not going to get any better. So I've got 3 people that work for me that have had their license for less than 2 years, their driver's license. We're going to put them in a $100,000 dump truck, put 10 tons of salt on the back, and put a plow on the front. A large percent of those, in 2 years, we haven't had a plowing situation in 2 years. We haven't plowed snow. We haven't had the snow to plow. So a large percent are going to be plowing snow this year on our roads that have barely had their driver's license. To me, that's a little sketchy, and it's not real. I'm not real comfortable with the way it's going right now. It's not going to get better unless we pay these people what they deserve. Now, the disparity throughout the county, from a road worker 1 all the way to district manager, are over 25% in all categories. I did a survey of 8 municipalities around West County. The disparity averages around 23%. So it's something that these people come, we train them, and they leave. So we've invested $200,000 just in the employees, training them so they can leave. $6,000 to get a CDL outside of St. Louis County. We've got to do something. Something's got to change. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. I'll be back here in 2 months or 3 months, and I'm going to say the same thing, and it might be worse than what I'm saying right now. It's just not going to work. There's too many open positions. Who wants to work at St. Louis County when Amazon for $12, Amazon's paying $15? These guys are shoveling 8 tons of mix, pouring 50 yards of concrete a day. We're the ones responsible for getting everybody to work and everybody around the town. We do the roads. We're there for any flooding. We're the first ones there with the county police. Any tornado, anything that happens that affects all of us in St. Louis County roads, we're right there, one of the first responders with the police. So I think that people need to be paid competitive wages with other people that do the same thing. And the disparity is glaring. It's astonishing. So I just think that, we need to look towards our future, and our future right now is not very good. So does anybody have any comments? Because it kind of seems like it's almost a forgotten group. And, it's not. It's a very, very important cog in the wheel of St. Louis County. So anybody have any comments or questions they'd like to ask? And I'm sure I have the answer to it. No?
We had our first budget presentation today, and we'll be talking about the budget over the next month. The revenue forecast is not good.
Right. Did the general fund go up at all this year? Do you know?
No, it's a structural deficit.
I understand that, but if I have something at my house that goes wrong, I find a way to pay for it.
Right. Well, we'll talk about it.
Okay. I appreciate your time, and if nobody has any other questions, hopefully I'm not back in 2 months and saying the same thing. But I will come back if I have to, and just to let you know the state of the county.
We appreciate it.
So, thank you.
Next speaker is Kyle Reese.
Hello, my name is Kyle Reese. I'm one of Jeff's employees. I'm one of his supervisors out at District 3 for transportation. That's our West County district. I would just wanted to extrapolate a little bit more on the numbers that Jeff provided you. Again, we work in West County, over 8 West County municipalities in our area. For a CDL driver who starts off, once they get their CDL, they start off at $14.46. Again, as Jeff mentioned, Amazon starts off at $15. So we train these people, and they leave, and they make quite a bit more money. As a matter of fact, 23% more in those municipalities. Again, we start off at $14.46. On average, in those other municipalities, it's $17.78. If you want to go on the low end, Manchester, they start you off at $16.86, which is still 16% higher than what the county starts off at. Again, Amazon, $15. We pay our trained employees $14.46 to start. It gets worse as you climb up the ladder. As a supervisor, you start off at 1941. You work pretty hard to get there. I've been at the county for 12 years. It took me 8.5 years to get a supervisor job, which was pretty accelerated. I make 1941. I've had the supervisor job for 3 years. I've never got a raise other than the money that came with the promotion, for getting the promotion. But in those municipalities, on average, they start off at 30.1% more. I make 1941. On average, they start off at $25.25 an hour. And again, if you want to look at the low end there, Kirkwood starts off at $22.72 an hour for a supervisor. That's 17% more. And then it gets worse from there. For Jeff, our district manager, on the low end of the district manager pay scale, you start off at $24.45. And on average, it's $34.14 in those other municipalities, which is 39.65% more. And it's like that. The entire scale is like that. Again, to give you an idea, I just lost one of my best employees, one of our rising stars at the county. He was 23 years old. His name was Zach Raymond. Zach made a lead, which is one step below a supervisor job, in 4 years. Now, back in the day when I first started, you couldn't even get a 2 in 4 years. And we've had to lower the standards in order to allow employees to be promoted, to get our cream to rise to the crop, the cream of the crop to rise to the top, because of some of these everyone's leaving because we can't fill the positions because you can make a lot more money everywhere else. But Zach left. Zach had been there for 4 years, and Zach went to the city of St. Charles making $19.54 an hour, which is, as an entry-level employee at the city of St. Charles, making 14 or 13 more cents an hour than I make as a supervisor. A 12-year veteran of St. Louis County Department of Transportation. I love the county. I love working for the county, and I'm pretty loyal to the county, and it really sucks that loyalty doesn't feel rewarded. And that's not just with me, that's with the entire work group. You know, we have oh, I'm sorry, we have older employees too now. And this is really where it gets me. It's hard enough that we have new employees coming in, but we have older employees, guys who have been there for 20, 25 years, who are in their 50s, who are within 5 to 10 years of getting their 80 and out pension, who are thinking about going to a different place before they get to 80 and out, just so that they can make a living wage at a different municipality. That's how bad it is. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker is Pat Schaefer.
Hi, my name is Pat Schaefer. I'm 72 years old. I've never been homeless in my life. Never. I have 25 grandkids and 10 great-grandkids. But what this Stratford hotel has done to me, you have no idea. I have congestive heart failure. I have to wear a life vest. If I have to go in my car, I have nowhere to plug it in. It has to be on phone service and all. I can't do that from my car. I can't do any of that. But to give us just 4 days to take our money, on Social Security you get paid not on the first, not on the third. You may get paid the third week of the month, but it's the same all the time. After getting paid on the second week of the month, and then they have them take our money and then tell you, oh, you're out. And then you got to wait. And you're going, okay, what am I going to do? I have no money. Nothing to do. Well, where am I supposed to go? Oh, well, see, I have a nice day. I have a granddaughter that lives with me who is learning disabilities. She's 18. I've got her in school. But she's going, Grandma, where are we going to live? I said, well, we'll handle it. We'll handle it. So what do? You go home and you cry because there's nothing you can do. You try to look on the weekends. That's when they gave us, was like at 3 o'clock on a Friday to Saturday and Sunday. There's nowhere open. You can't go to an apartment complex. You can't go to, they're all closed on the weekends. And you're going, I put 600 miles in my car in 2 days looking for a place to live. There just wasn't anything. Nothing open for you to go in. Because there's nobody there. They don't work on the weekends. And like I said, I'm 72 years old. I have never, ever been homeless in my life. I've never slept in my car except when we go camping, because I don't do bugs. And, no. And I'll sleep in the car, you know. Anyways, like I said, there's so many of us there that are old. Just plain up, we're old. And it's not like you can just hop in and hop out, you know. You're attached to something, like my life vest, she with her knees, and the other lady with the MS. And there's other people there that the lady went back in the hospital because she was going crazy. She didn't know what she was going to do. That's all I got to say. I just wish you guys would listen to some of these people and take into consideration what we're all going through. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Leo Schaefer.
Chris is Dan, drive. Just give us their side.
Thank you so much.
I know.
Please forgive me, I'm a little sight impaired here. My name is Leo Schaefer, and I am a resident of the Stratford Inn. I know that this is very difficult for me to be a public speaking at any time, so bear with me. I'm here hopefully to try and convince you to try and give us a little bit of help so that this doesn't happen to any others. I know there's not much that you may be able to do, but who knows? I can only speak for myself. This was not what I had planned for myself at 52 years old, but due to complications to diabetes, I have become blind. I have, very limited resources to myself, so I had no other choice but was forced to move to a place like the Stratford because of the accessibility of it and the availability of it. I wish I was more eloquent, and I'm not. Forgive me. I wish I could express better to you what I'm going through, but it's very difficult. All I can say, is this is very difficult on a whole lot of people, not just us, but those that were not allowed or scared to death to be here for fear that they would be sleeping outside. And I thoroughly appreciate your time in this, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo.
Mr. Chair, the next speaker's first name I think is Debbie, and the last name starts with a B. Oh.
Hi,
Mr.
my
Chair,
name's
can we
Debbie
ask the
Bissell.
speaker to spell her
Just
name?
1 second. Okay, could you spell your name for us?
My name's Debbie Bissell, Bissell. I've been at Stratford Inn about 7 months now because I really didn't have any place else to go. I broke my tibia back in February. I'm basically metal from the knee down, and so I was out of work for quite a while. And so I went to Stratford because they basically, the only thing I have right now is my Social Security. So that's kind of pretty much, they took pretty much my Social Security in order to stay there. When we got this notice on Friday so late, I didn't know what to do. Nobody knew what to do. It was such short notice. I really don't have any place to go, and I don't have a car to even live in, so I was so scared and crying that I was going to be on the curb with my belongings and nowhere to go. It's just been really stressful. If maybe they would have given us a little more time. I said it's hard to find an apartment or someplace to go, especially if you don't have great credit or you don't have first and last month's rent, which I don't. But I won't keep going on. I just wanted to let you know that it's just been really stressful for everybody there, and hope that everything works out. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Zaki Baruti.
My name is Zaki Baruti. I'm with the Universal African Peoples Organization. I'm here as an extension of the prior speakers in terms of with Stratford Inn. And I want to first of all thank Ms. Rainey Afston, who contacted me. And when I went there Sunday and happened to talk to a number of the residents, including Ms. Bissell, and went into their particular homes, it's nowhere near in terms of being condemnable in my eyesight. It looked very nice. Apartment that she had, a room that she had. First, I want to just clear that up. But also, it's really mind-blowing that 80 families would get a 4-day notice, and many of them having medical issues, to be put out into the streets and become homeless. And it's in that spirit, too, I want to thank Reverend Rice, because I made an immediate call to Reverend Rice. And as he mentioned earlier, if his homeless shelter had been open, he would have taken them in. And so I'm here as an extension of what the sister has said earlier. As public policy makers, you really need to look at that procedure where the county official would put a notice condemning the building and affecting so many lives. If we had any sense of humanity, then all of us should be out here trying to help each and every one of those families transition. And also, with any sense of humanity, they should have been given at least a 30-day notice, in my mind, to be able to prepare to make that transition. So I'm here, just to express my total outrage. It's just immoral in my mind how you would treat people like that. And as leaders of the community, the county council, again, I just appeal to you, as I've been appealing to you on the other issue of Civilian Oversight Board, that we need to have a path forward that addresses the community needs. So again, I just want to, my heart goes out to the families. I want to again thank Ms. Afston. I want to again thank Reverend Rice, because he's also put some money in. One other, we also contacted Faith Church. I want to publicly thank them also. So I just wanted to make that known in terms of how our organization feels in terms of what has taken place. Thank you.
Can you tell us how many individuals are affected?
I understand it's over 80 families.
80 families? And you think they all have a place to go now?
No, from what I understand, no.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Next speaker is Deirdre Perry.
Good afternoon, and congratulations to our continuing county executive, Steve Stenger, and each of our county council members. My name is Deirdre Perry. I'm a registered nurse who works at the North Central Community Health Center. I have worked with the health department for 17 years. My coworkers and I, who are a small representation of a greater organization, thank you for this opportunity to ask for wage increase for the Department of Health clinical service employees. My fellow registered nurses, nurse practitioners, medical and dental assistants, hygienists, office representatives, and myself have been loyally employed with the St. Louis County Department of Health for many years. When we were recruited out of hospital systems and other health institutions, one of the incentives for working for the St. Louis County was merit increases and performance-based pay raises. We left competitive hourly wage jobs with shift differentials, weekend and holiday differentials, and overtime potential. And for a few years, at the beginning of our careers here with the St. Louis County, we received that which was agreed. However, the last time we received such was in 2012. And the lack of pay increases, be it cost of living, salary adjustments, or performance evaluation-based raises, have caused many employees to fall behind, go without, struggle, or not be able to make ends meet to the next paycheck without interest, penalties, late fees, or the use of credit cards. And this should not be the case when one works a full-time job. Raises are needed more so now than ever before because of this 6-year gap since the last one. In this capitalistic economic system, the cost of living is structured to inevitably increase as time progresses. And the cost not only increases with our basics of life, meaning food, shelter, utility, and transportation, but many of our workers now have extended households. They take care of grandchildren and extended family. They have elder care costs and college tuition, not to mention their own student loan repayments on top of mortgage and rent. And many people are stressfully juggling several of these scenarios in one income. We also have the other issue of the rise in the acuity and complexity of our patients. Public health care needs have increased exponentially because of many factors, such as increasing mental health problems and limited access to mental health services, opioid abuse, and addiction. There are also so many other issues that our patients have that we do not have time to actually discuss what's going on. I will say, however, that the increased difficulty
That's 3 minutes, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. We asking for a raise. I'm sorry. We asking for a raise.
Next speaker is Aaron Seal.
Thank you. My name is Erin Seeley, 333 South Kirkwood Road. I am the city attorney for the city of Fenton. Tim Engelmeil has been handling this issue and is the spokesperson for the city, but he could not be here today, so I am here. First and foremost, the city is very sorry that the people are having to go through this process, and it was a very difficult decision. However, I do want to provide some facts of how we got here. The Fenton Board of Aldermen was appraised on the issue of deplorable conditions, increase in crime, and lack of valid occupancy permits. And staff of the city was instructed to move forward with enforcing the city's ordinances, not just against the Stratford, but against the city's motels and hotels within the city. During this process, the board became aware of some very serious health and safety issues at the Stratford. As of October 25th, the city had received around 800 calls for police and EMS to the Stratford in just the last 10 months and 10 days. Most of the calls did involve drugs, assault, and welfare checks. The calls have also been increasing in severity and number in the last year. The city posted in October that the 400 building had to be vacated due to the fact that there was no occupancy and reported unsafe conditions. At that time or before, at least some persons of the Stratford did learn that the owner was selling that hotel. To say that there was no notice is disingenuous. However, the biggest issue is that the hotel was sold to new owners on November 1st, 2018. This is not something the city nor the county had anything to do with. This is a private sale. As I'm sure you know, the law requires new occupancy permits to be obtained when there is a new ownership takes place. This is for all structures within the city of Fenton. Right now, on the Stratford, there is no hired staff to operate the building. There is no staff there to provide maintenance or any kind of cleaning services or laundry. No one is working the front door. There is no insurance to cover if there is any injury or fire or, God forbid, death at the hotel. Also, the Stratford is a hotel. It's not an apartment or a condo complex. It is constructed and zoned for short-term stays, not permanent living. For example, the firewalls, fire suppressions, and sprinklers that are required for apartments are not contained within the Stratford. The previous owner should have never allowed long-term stays at this hotel, as it violates numerous codes, including fire and safety codes. The building has been recently inspected and is dangerous. It recently failed numerous fire code regulations, including exposed wires. It also does not have working fire sprinklers, fire alarms, or fire extinguishers, among other safety violations. The city has been working hand in hand with the Problem Properties Unit of St. Louis County Police Department to make sure everything is being done by the book and referrals to appropriate resources are made. Despite what has been reported, the city has not evicted anyone. But we have issued a notice to vacate because they do not have occupancy or unsafe conditions. Problem Properties, in conjunction with the city, are working with those affected on a case-by-case basis. I was told that as of today, there were about 26 rooms that are still occupied. We have been in coordination with Rockwood School District, who is aware of this and willing to provide assistance if they can. We have also contacted, in conjunction with Problem Properties, the St. Louis County Division of Homelessness, Circle of Concern, Red Cross, multiple churches, both private and retired social workers, among others. So the city we understand the issue, we understand the concern, we are trying to assist any way we can, but it is very documented that the Stratford, in its current condition, is unsafe. And just also, I guess, to clarify a little bit, if you don't mind, the notice for Tuesday date was for the new owners to obtain occupancy permit. However, due to the unsafe conditions at that hotel at this time, they were not able to obtain that as of Tuesday, which is what the new notices that were posted today were.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you for coming, number one, and number two, for giving us some context to the situation. I know that property is a problem property and has been actually for quite some time. Can you explain, are you saying then that the notice that was posted did not mandate eviction?
It was a notice of violation, and it did say on there that it would be a notice to vacate if the, I guess really code violations and safety concerns were not fixed.
So they do not have to get out immediately?
We have now issued a new notice today, but again, we are not going to drag anyone out. The city is, and Problem Properties, Officer Rank is working with people on a case-by-case basis to try to find assistance and places to go.
Okay, so that threat is not imminent. They are not going to be put out on.
No, we are, yeah, and it is, again, it is not an eviction, it is a notice to vacate, so we are not going to be throwing people out or throwing their things out on the street. But we do need them, we do want to work and need the hotel to be vacated because it is in an unsafe condition.
Is AJ here by chance? Oh, there she is. She works tirelessly on many different areas in the county, homelessness being one of them. Her department would be in charge of that. Have you been involved at all in this part? Do you mind giving an on-the-spot update? Oh, is he here too? Okay.
Mr. Chair, we have them.
Sure. Could you come to the podium for us? Don't go far.
Yeah. Thank you for coming up.
Good evening. The context from the Human Services perspective is that we've been involved with both the City of Fenton, nonprofits, the like. Many of the residents there at the Stratford Inn have been assessed. We've had assessment teams go out and interview those who remain. Again, there are 26 units that are still occupied. Approximately 8 of them have no other means upon which they can rely. And so we have nonprofit providers that are providing transition plans for them. That will take place over the next day. But most of the folks that did speak, most of the residents have been engaged the young man whose mother has MS and his father is a veteran. He'll be moved out tomorrow. Miss Deb, who was over to my right, she has been engaged and she'll be assisted as well. So we expect that all who don't have an option of other optional living situations will be transitioned to a permanent place.
Okay. And you are working directly with the city of Fenton?
We have had conversations with Tim Engelmeyer, who is the city attorney there. We also have been in contact with Officer Ring of the problem properties. And then there are also 4 nonprofits who we work with and coordinate through our office who are engaged in this process.
Similarly, I did hear from the mayor of Fenton today too, expressing his grave concern over the condition of the property and how dangerous it is. So it is very difficult, I know, on these families, but at the same time, for their own safety, that we need to find them safe housing and something that is livable conditions.
Absolutely. We totally empathize with those who are there, not just from the present situation, but the cost that is associated with living in weekly stays is not commiserate with long-term living, nor is it reasonable. And so we look forward to transitioning them to places that are more permanent and more affordable, considering their income.
Do you know if there are any of these people have leases? How are they staying?
No one has a lease there. This is a short-term stay facility as far as I know
But
it.
it sounds like they're treating it as an apartment.
Certainly, certainly. And quite honestly, this is a national problem. So there are motels throughout this country in which folks are living there long-term. There's been documentaries that have been done in California, et cetera, showing the same sort of issues. And so we have engaged them. Of course, you were involved and supportive of our Project Homeless Connect event. Many of the folks who were assisted there were homeless or in transition and living at another motel within the St. Louis area. So we have certainly been aware of this and been engaging those populations to assist them to a more permanent destination.
Thank you. Thanks for the update.
A couple questions for both you and the attorney from Fenton. You said there's about 20 people left?
26 rooms is my word, and that is from on-the-ground staff at a nonprofit that are there right now.
Okay.
We have engaged not just those who we fund through our office, but also many of the activists and those who are involved in advocating on behalf of the homeless.
Okay. And you or your organizations or your department has been in contact with these 26 people, you said?
Yes. So as of yesterday, I went along with staff from a nonprofit to ensure that all 44 rooms that were occupied at that time were covered, and folks were engaged to determine what their options were. From that point, they were engaged in a process of connecting them to the resources that they need. As of today, we're down to 26, and again, of that 26, 8 have no other resources. And we expect to provide those alternatives for them so that no one is displaced to the streets.
So they are staying in place until something comes through?
Yes, we plan to expedite this, however. So as everyone might recognize, those who are staying there are not doing so because it's the best option, right? Most would rather if you're going to spend $1,000 a month to stay somewhere, have actual kitchen, have other amenities that offset your normal cost, right? And so to the extent that that's true, but we're also pressing up against time. We're providing them some other emergency alternative and then providing them the case management to connect them with landlords who are open to their challenged rental history or credit history.
Okay. So would you anticipate these 26 people to have extra housing? A month, 2 months?
So the 26 rooms, again, of the 26 rooms, 8 have no other options. And so of the 8, we expect to make sure that they have other permanent destinations moving forward.
And you've been working with the people that were here today?
Yes, many of them I recognize by face and name.
Okay.
I was actually in conversation and communication with the nonprofit that's on the ground right now, and most of them have been engaged already.
Okay. This is a question for the representative from Fenton. Do you know what is the purpose of the sale? Are they tearing the business down or the place down, or what's going to happen with the building?
I believe they are going to kind of upkeep, remodel, and go under a different name, I believe, as it is new owners. So I believe they still are going to operate it as a hotel, but under a different, I think under a different umbrella, and they are going to update, which is another thing they do want to start construction. And
Are they going to be brought up to current code, like sprinkler systems and other things?
if they are going to operate it as a long-term stay hotel, they would have quite some upgrades to do in order to meet code. I do not know if they are going to operate it as a long-term or a short-term hotel, which does not require the extensive kind of building code requirements of an R2 over kind of apartment complex and certain homes to have the sprinkler and firewall and that kind of thing.
So if it goes back to being a hotel, what things have to be done to the property in general?
They're just kind of the main safety concerns. They obviously do have to have working fire extinguishers. The sprinklers that are required to be there do need to be working. They need to not have exposed wiring. I believe there's mold and that kind of thing that all would need to be cleaned up. There's loose. I think there's some windows that are broken and that kind of thing that would need to be brought up to code. And I'm sure other things I'm forgetting. So.
Has the city been in touch with these people and given them at least 30 days or 60 days notice, or somebody talking to them?
I don't think the 30 days, because again, we did give notice of the 400 when we learned that. We did have people come to our meetings at that time, and we did say we had moved them temporarily to the 100. With the sale coming in, there really isn't, we obviously don't want to throw anyone out, but there is no occupancy at all. So the building, because there's no occupancy, the owners do not have that place, have anyone working there, have any insurance on it, so it's kind of a liability. But the city Tim Engelmeyer has been there, but mostly we've been working through Problem Properties, who are the experts in this and do this often. I know Officer Rank has personally knocked on many, many, many doors. He made it his kind of mission to try to talk to every single person there to keep them informed, both when the October notices went out, as well as when the first notice on Thursday, I believe, went out with the Tuesday deadline, as well as today. I know Fenton has been in contact with him and Tim multiple times every single day to talk about this. And
I mean, just an observation, I just see that communication seems to not be as strong as it probably needs to be, and I would encourage both of you to make sure these people are in the loop on everything, and that because no knowledge is frightening for these people, and they need to know what's going on day to day.
I do agree with that. I think they have had a lot of conversation. Even he said that we have engaged many of the people who talked tonight. The communication is a key to us and something we really have been trying to make sure it's happening.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No, thank you all both for working together to try and solve this unfortunate problem and recognizing the difference between notice to move out and eviction. And we hope you'll be able to help the remaining 80 families or so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
End of public comments?
Yes, sir.
So notice that we no longer have a quorum. Councilwoman Walton Gray had to attend an urgent family matter. We knew that we'd have trouble getting folks together for a meeting right after an election, but we wanted to try and accomplish some of the business, and I'm glad we were able to get through our public comments section, but we'll have to adjourn our meeting now for lack of quorum, and we'll be back again next week.
Motion to adjourn.
Yep.
Second.
Sure.
Yes.
Adjourn.
You don't even have to vote.
You didn't vote on it.